Is happening, everybody? All right, so I've been kind of dreading making this video about the GT500 only because, once again, it's based on fake news. You know, the only news we have on that car is fake news. And I love the whole, way that the conversation will go when folks really start getting nerded out about this new GT500. It's the Demon Slayer. What is it? Venom kills the demon. Even though it's a GT500 and not a Cobra. I don't know. Anyway, the point of this is that, the only news we have to talk about is fake news. We don't have anything from Ford right now giving us anything definitive at all about that car. You'll see something leaked about it's a 5.2, it's going to be supercharged, or it could be turbocharged, or there was even some rumors floating around that it was going to be a naturally aspirated 7-liter. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, but yeah, I doubt that's going to happen. So what do we have to work with at this point? Well, we don't have anything. It's just a bunch of bullshit that's been leaked out on the internet by somebody trying to create something out of nothing, basically clickbait. And yeah, that's great. Good on you if you can make a dime off of that. But let's talk about the guys that are really going to get interested in this once we start to hear something official from Ford. All right, so what will it take to make that GT500 as awesome as at least the anticipation would allow you to believe that it would be? Well, first thing, it's going to have at least 725, maybe even 750 horsepower, because it's got to outpace the ZL1 by a vast margin. The second thing is that it's going to have to be optioned with an automatic. Look, sorry, but drag racing is kind of important to the pony car mythos, if you want to call it that. And yeah, automatic transmission nowadays is the best and really the only way to get solid numbers out of these cars. And save your argument for, well, rowing a gear is a man's thing and a pedal for each leg. Look, I get it, okay? I've done really well rowing cars down a quarter mile for a long time, but they are too damn good nowadays to even think that you're going to put a car out there with that kind of power that's going to be competing with the likes of the Hellcat and the Red Eye and the ZL1. Yeah, you're going to have an automatic. And oh yeah, by the way, you can get a Z06 with an automatic too, albeit an 8-speed and not the 10-speed that does come in that ZL1. But it doesn't seem to suffer too much considering how quick you can make those cars just by merely walking past them and sneezing, apparently. So, but look, let's get down back to it. The GT500, about 7.25 horse, option it with an automatic. That's basically all you're going to need. It's not going to take too much. We're talking maybe a sticky tire here to get that thing deep into the tens, which is what most guys are really looking for with that car. But I would stop right there, at least with the excitement, or let me rephrase it as anticipation, because the car, when it's released, is not going to be a demon killer. It's not going to be a red-eye killer. It's just not going to be. And the reason why I say it's not going to be is because we're living in an era of parity in the muscle car and pony car era. This is kind of cool in a way. I mean, look at the naturally aspirated landscape. You've got any scat pack, whether it's a Challenger or a Charger, on a sticky tire is capable of running 11s in really good air. Same goes with the Mustang, and same goes with the Camaro. And this is all on regular old 93 octane that you can get at any corner store. Step that up a little bit, and you've got the ZL1 and the Hellcat, both pretty much in the same ballpark in terms of performance. I mean, we're talking about two cars that are definitely capable of running into the 10s, unmodified. When you start talking about speeds like that, tenths of a second really don't matter. I could care less if a bone stock Hellcat or Red Eye is a tenth or two quicker than a ZL1 or the soon-to-be famed or fabled GT500. They're all fast as hell. Yeah, at what point is fast just really, really fast? So, I'm not really worried about 1/10 here, another 10th there. We're still talking about 10-second capable cars here. Well, at least the ones that have been released, right? So, what's the next argument to that? Oh, well, it's going to be handling. Really? Really? You're going to try to bring handling into this conversation? If it is a supercharged car, it will be nose heavy just by the fact that a supercharger and all the other associated crap that has to make that thing work, keep it cool, the whole bit, is going to be heavy. It's just how it is. If you want a car that handles well, get you a GT350. Or better yet, get you a C6 or a C5 Corvette, aftermarket it out and use it as your daily track weapon, which is what 90% of the guys that do run a V8 on an actual open track use. If you want to really have some fun, get you a Miata. Those things handle great, and you'll see about 1,000 of them on any given road course on any given weekend. So the whole handling thing gets thrown out the door. And save it, okay? Look, I know. You want to talk about the fact that the GT350 and by association the GT500 is going to be a great handling car. Just like the ZL1, right? Just like the 1LE, right? And they all apparently run circles around Challengers, although most of the guys that buy those cars don't ever actually take them to a road course. In fact, a vast majority of the owners of those cars don't take them to a road course and will get their asses handed to them by any even moderately experienced driver in an F-body that's track prepped, or a vet that's just got a sticky tire on it, in a driver that's basically been doing it on again and off again for a while. The point of that is, look, I don't want to hear about handling being a trump card, because all modern vehicles will go around a corner just fine. There's no worrying about skidding off the road on any partial, sweeper that you may run into or encounter. It doesn't work like that with modern cars. So save that tired old argument for something else. I guess where I'm going with this is, we're talking about this GT500 as though it exists or as though it is coming. Yeah, I don't really see it coming in the near future. And yeah, let's say they release it or they start leaking real details of this car, over the next, 6 to 8 months, maybe 9 months. Guys, I got to tell you, there's a group of guys that are just lathering up, waiting for the specs of that car. And it doesn't come from the Mopar camp, and it doesn't come from the Chevy camp. No, this is going to come from some cannibalistic cats inside the Ford camp that cannot wait for a GT500 to cross their path once it is released, because they've already gone through the hassle of putting either a Whipple, a VMP, or a Roush supercharger on a 2018 Mustang with a 10-speed, and they are dying to run across a GT500 only to scald its ass. Look, this is going back almost to the GT versus GT350 argument. The GT350 is always, touted to be the best Mustang ever, and I love them, don't get me wrong, but yeah, line one up next to an 18 Mustang GT with a performance pack and a 10-speed automatic. It's going to get its ass handed to it in a drag race. And of course, people will say, well, no, the GT350 is not a drag race car. It's a Mustang. It is nothing but a drag race car. Well, it's got road race tuned suspension. Shut up with that. Any performance pack Mustang will hold its own just fine on an open track with any GT350. So, yeah, don't believe the hype when it comes to that crap. In the hands of a capable driver, sure, it'll get around a road course just fine, and so will that GT. So, save it. So, carry that argument more forward. You got a GT500. Certainly hope that thing runs deep into the 10s, and certainly hope it's got an automatic transmission, because without it, it's going to be the same damn argument and the same second verse, same as the first. It's going to start getting handed its ass to it on a silver platter by cars that, oh yeah, by the way, let's start talking about cost, will cost a lot less than a GT500. I have heard rumors about a GT500 cost coming in somewhere north of $75,000 to $80,000. $75,000 to $80,000 for a Mustang? Well, it almost makes sense considering how much the GT350s cost. before dealers throw their, market adjustment onto that. Usually would chime in between $2,500 and $5,000 on a normal GT350 and could go as high as 10 grand on a GT350R. Look, if you've got that kind of money and you want to throw it at a Mustang, good on you, because I ain't going to be spending that kind of money on a Mustang. And I don't care what you are going to be led to believe. There is nothing, collectible about a GT350. They make too many of them. And for them to be ultimately collectible, I'm sure in 25 years, it's going to be neat to see one running around on the street, just like it's neat to see a 93 Cobra or an SN95 Cobra running around in bone stock form. But I don't know, GT350s ain't going to get it done, so I can only imagine what the dealer market adjustment is going to be for a GT500. But you know what? There'll be plenty of suckers out there that will cough up that cash to buy one. Man, I don't even know what to say about that. I certainly hope that the GT500 does live up to the hype. I certainly am looking forward to that car being released and seeing what it is truly capable of. But I gotta tell you, my crystal ball is telling me a few things. Number one, it might get around a track a little bit better than a ZL1 only because of a power advantage. Definitely isn't going to get there because the chassis or the suspension geometry is better. Second thing is, in a drag race, if it's got an automatic, it'll be about as quick as a stock red-eye, tire for tire. That's just going to be how it is. And as far as any other metric you can think of, it is not going to matter at all one bit. The parity is too strong, and there are too many, there's too many players in this game that do things really well and that fit their niche just fine and are right now doing so without a GT500. You know, guys, I got to tell you something. I almost have to say this, take this with a grain of salt, but I almost, on one hand, don't want there to be a GT500. Not because it's going to go up against the Red Eye or it's going to go up against the ZL1, and now we have the, the top tier hot rod muscle car, pony car thing going out there. I almost don't want it to happen only because of the GT350. I love the GT350. I think it's the best Mustang that's ever been built. But once that GT500 hits, I got to tell you, the GT350 is going to be basically nothing more than an afterthought. Hope you didn't pay a premium when you bought your GT350. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that money back if you try to trade it in on a GT500. But let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this fake news nonsense that's come out. Really, I can't say anything else on the topic until Ford actually starts to release official data. But yeah, it's fun to sit here and just bench race a little bit about it. That's a wrap on this one. Y'all have a great one. Adios.